Welcome to the Frames Per Second podcast. This is Spike Lou. I am joined by Mike and I'm joined by Ken. And today we are reviewing season 2 of the Apple Plus show entitled Severance. This just wrapped up, so we're going to review the whole season, go through all 10 episodes, get some thoughts about this season and the future of the show, kind of do hit on each episode and the main themes. So I'll start with you guys. I want to know what y'all thoughts were. Mike, let me start with you. What did you think about season 2? First, did you like season 1, and what do you think about season 2?
I loved season 1. Yeah, I absolutely loved season 1. I loved season 2. I'm not all the way on board with the ending. I'm a little annoyed by the ending, but it's not enough to be like this was bad or anything like that. So, I mean, I guess we'll get into it and all that, but yeah, I'm pretty happy with this show.
Interesting. Ken, what's that you?
So am I. I definitely enjoyed the first season. I know as this season went on, we were, discussing in between shoots or before shoots and some of the feedback you were seeing out there about season 2. And by the time I finished it, I don't know what they were talking about. I think I may have seen some things, like if I was watching it in real time, with those first couple of episodes, maybe that was a little off-putting for people. But yeah, by the time it got toward the end, I was like, people are tripping. I don't know if we have similar reasons, but I definitely dislike the ending too. Yeah. So it may be for similar or different reasons than Mike, but yeah, the ending did piss me off.
Okay, we all in agreement then. I did not like the ending either. That made me. I feel like they were kind of turning this thing another way than what I signed up for. I was a big fan of season 1. I didn't like the season as much. This season didn't do as much for me in the sense of they did a lot of building like mystery in season 1. Like you were like, what's going on? What's going on? Here, I didn't get that same thing. Like the mystery wasn't built enough for me. In this, it was just more like it kind of seemed like all over the place at first. And so I did understand some of the criticism, but they did tighten it up on the back end. I think after the retreat episode, I started to buy in more. I really did not like that retreat episode, though. That was probably my least favorite episode.
In the snow?
Yes. I was like, what are we doing? I was not a fan of that. So let's get into it. Let's get started episode by episode. Season 2, episode 1 was called Welcome Back, Mark S. Mark returns to Lumen after the events of the overtime contingency, and he discovers a significant change on the severed floor, including some new team members and leadership. Ken, when you first started watching this and you seen new people, what did you think?
I felt like I needed to watch a recap or something. But this show was odd and weird. And the funny thing is I did watch the recap before it started, but I felt like there was something else I was missing. And I was really, really wondering how long they would stay around and if they would stay. And I really did not want to start all over with a whole new group of people in this room working with Mark. So yeah, those were my thoughts when I saw these new folks.
Mike, what say you?
I knew they weren't going to be there, but for like 5 minutes, because I knew there was no way they were going to get rid of what's John Turturro's character,
Irving,
and the little chubby guy with the funny lips. They're not getting rid of those guys. I mean, they're a staple of the show just as much as Mark at this point. So I knew there was just some weird thing happening where they were trying to replace them for a hot minute, but it wasn't going to be permanent.
Yeah, I didn't think that they would be around long either, but it was off-putting. I was like, I hope they're not going to sell me on like new characters for a whole season. What do you guys think that Mark S was rightfully pissed, like just to see what was going
on? Yeah. I mean, I don't. Those are not the people he knew. So I think he had a right to be upset with everything that was going on. So yeah, no, I got it.
I think he was kind of worried that they were because I don't think I thought about it until this season that if somebody just stops the job, they're pretty much dead. And I know they tackled that with Bert, but I don't think it stuck in my brain until this season. Like to them, if it's like, well, their outie quit the job, to the innie, they're pretty much dead because they're not going to see him anymore. So I think he was just more worried that like, okay, I'm just not going to see these folks anymore. What happened to them? And he knows that what they did was against Lumen policy. So I guess he really thought that his friends were dead.
I'm with you on that, Mike. I struggled throughout the season with the if they're not here anymore, they're dead. Like the feeling and the emotions that were after like what happened with Irv, and it's just like, oh, okay, yeah, they don't exist in this world anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So they did a good job of telling that story throughout the season, though, as far as that. What do you guys think about the little girl? They had been floor manager. What's her name? Miss Hong.
I thought that was baby Hong. I thought that was the little girl.
His wife.
Yeah. I thought somehow she had turned into some little girl. It was weird. I don't know why they decided to cast this little girl as the new person in replacement of her. I mean, I think he discovered that was his wife, so they had to get rid of her. But yeah, she was weird, but it was funny because what she said, "Why are you so young?" or something. And she was, what did she say? because
of when I was born. That shit was funny as
hell. That's funny. What'd you think about the little kid, Mike?
As racist as it is, I'm with Ken. I thought that was his wife, and I was like, all right. So they got rid of his wife, and then they've been, because I've always figured that they were cloning. So I was like, okay, so they cloned his wife and brought her back as a kid, because I'm still, I don't know. I mean, again, I know it's kind of racist, but at the same time, I'm like, y'all just coincidentally had like cast 2 Asian people, and it's not meant to be like, well, Asian people don't exist and there's no way a job can have 2 Asian people. But a show like this, it was just like, well, why did y'all cast this Asian little girl to replace his Asian wife? I don't know. It was weird to me.
I think they were trying to make us think that they were leaning towards, oh, we want you to think that that's his wife. We also learned that 5 months had passed since that macro data uprising, and during that, the team became symbols of severance reform. What do you guys think about them celebrating the breakout and changing Lumen laws and this whole thing that went around them breaking out last year? Did they hit for y'all, Mike?
I knew it was fake. I knew it was fake the second they showed it. I was like, there's no fucking way. There's no way.
Some corporate BS.
Yeah, I knew it was fake. I just didn't really know why they faked it. And I still don't know why they faked it.
Ken, what do you think?
Wait, so they're so outside of where they were, that never happened? It was
I don't think so.
Okay.
I don't think so. Like the newspaper was shown, and it was like, oh, these guys are the faces of reform and all this stuff. I don't, maybe I'm wrong though. If I'm the only one that thought that, but I took it as that shit didn't really happen.
I never thought that. I never thought about that until you just said it. And that makes sense because his sister never mentioned it.
Right.
Or the husband, none of those people ever mentioned it. Oh, that's a good point. I never thought that.
Outie Mark, when he's walking around, nobody's like, hey, I know you from the paper. Yeah. No one's doing that. So I just assumed it was fake. But again, if I'm the only one that took it that way, then I'm probably wrong.
I'm just now noticing when you said that.
Yeah, I don't know. We didn't, they didn't really stay there that long. So I didn't really think about it all that deep until you said it. Now I'm kind of really curious on whether they manufactured the whole thing or not.
That is a really good question. I got to look into that. I plan on rewatching this because there's some stuff I think I missed too. But by the end of the episode, Mark's determined to reunite his team. He sabotaged his new assignments to gain the attention of the board, and then eventually he reconnects with Dylan and Haley and Irvin, and they're offered a choice to leave permanently or stay under improved conditions. After they deliberate, they decide to remain and resume their work. Now, obviously, this is a TV show, and we knew that they were going to leave. But did you guys in any point in time when they were talking about this, think that Haley or one of those would be like, yeah, you know what, I'm leaving?
No.
Nah.
Okay.
They were gonna go
How'd y'all
back.
like the
That's all
first
they had.
episode?
That's all they knew.
Yeah.
Right.
So,
Right.
so the first episode, I'm sorry, Mike.
No. Go ahead, Spike.
I was just gonna say overall for the first episode coming out the gate, what y'all think?
I thought it was fine. Watching the first episode. I knew there. I was hoping and felt like there was a lot more left to be desired, and they were just trying to really reintroduce us to this place. Give us a new setting, give us a new time, everything. We're 5 months after everything went down, and basically get into what season 2 was all about. So, and I think it was just weird enough to let you know that this is just a weird ass fucking show. So don't expect anything that's going to be really straight and narrow.
Nothing's going to be normal. What y'all think about the black dude in his new position, Malcheck?
Man, every time I see that fool, I think of Kevin Bloodbath. Just the fuck like him, bro. And I meant to text y'all and ask y'all, but because I just rewatched the first season, and I was like, the first time I watched it when it was on in real time, I was like, that guy reminds me of somebody, but it didn't click until I was rewatching. I was like, that's fucking Bloodbath. If that ain't Bloodbath's uncle or some shit, I'm telling you.
If he had that fro, it would be like spot on.
Man,
I feel like Bloodbath had that fro at some point, Spike.
He hey man, Mr. Millicek, he's becoming one. He probably is. He may be my favorite character on the show.
Yeah, I think he's definitely the best on the show as far as a character. Episode 2. It's entitled "Goodbye, Mrs. Selvig." Excuse me. In the aftermath of the overtime contingency, Milchek is tasked with managing the repercussions and decides to terminate both Irvin and Dylan. Irvin, however, decides he deceives Milchek about his whereabouts during the incident. And then Helena, accompanied by security, Chief Mr. Drummond, meets with Harmony Cobell and offers her a promotion as a reward for her loyalty, but Cobell is insulted for not being offered her old job back. What y'all think about Miss Cobell?
Wait, real quick, did my camera go away, or is it just on my end?
No, it is frozen.
All right, I'm gonna exit and come back. I don't know what's going on my computer because it's freezing y'all up too. So okay. I'll be back in a second.
You want to wait, Ken, and we're gonna keep an edit or keep going?
I'm gonna have to edit anyway.
Okay.
So yeah, I can keep going. Miss Cobell was very weird to me.
Mm-hmm.
I have difficulty even placing like her relevance to the show, her importance to it.
Even when it got to the end?
When they got to the end, they added some layers, to her. They introduced this new dynamic to her, but in the beginning, I was like, why is she here? And the way she talked was all weird and odd. And yeah, she was probably my least favorite on the show.
Yeah, she's rather irritating. I didn't need, even though, to your point, I kind of felt like you did as far as what's her relevance, especially in this season since she's not the boss. But though I didn't want a full episode of her and them doing the background, it did make more sense now that she had all the information and she was looming from day one. So then it was like, oh, okay, I got it. I wish you kind of gave me that earlier, maybe in season 1, possibly. But waiting until then, it irritated me about her character even more because I felt the same way you did. Like, why is she here? What's your purpose? Next in the episode, we had Helena, who records an apology video. Records an apology video attributing her outbursts at the gala to intoxication. Milchek attempts to persuade Mark to return to work, but Mark decides to quit. Much to Devon's dismay, who is concerned that Gemma is alive. Now, Dylan struggles to find new employment due to the stigma of being severed, and Helena insists that Mark must return to the complete Cold Harbor file. Milchek convinces him by offering a substantial pay raise, promising his innings happiness will positively affect him. And after Mark's plea to the board, Milicic rehires Dylan and Irvin while the board decides to send Helena back to work. And Mark confronts Cobell about Gemma, but she angrily drives off without providing answers. So a lot to unpack in that episode. What do you guys think about Mark's pay raise and going back and essentially giving them the new responsibilities?
I don't remember that. Which episode was this? Is
this episode? Oh, 2. Yeah, I'm on the wrong one.
2?
Mm-hmm. So when Cobell said she didn't want the job, remember Milicic brought Mark in, and because Mark said he was going to quit, and he was offering him a substantial pay raise, and he promised that his innings happiness will positively affect him. And then Mark took the little thing to talk to the board from him, and he started telling the board why they should rehire Dylan and Irvin. So that obviously wasn't impactful at all. Like, y'all didn't care about that.
Nah.
Was this the episode when he was being interviewed by himself? Remember, he went on an interview, and the guy that was interviewing him looked just like him.
You talking about Dylan?
Dylan, yeah.
Yeah, because he was looking for another job before.
Yeah, he was looking for another job,
because it was a door store or something like that, selling doors.
Yeah, something. But he didn't. Once he found out he was severed, that's when the guy was like, "Oh yeah, we good around here. We'll." He said, "We'll keep it on file or strongly consider your position or whatever." And then Dylan kind of went off. So, but that was interesting and weird that they used him as the hiring manager for that.
Looked just like him. Did y'all like them getting one to Dylan's personal life?
I did. But before we go on, that was another part that made me think that other shit was fake, because that guy should have known that Dylan was severed because
that's a good point.
But I love that whole scene, especially when he figured out he was severed and was like, "Oh no, we're good.
We don't deal with your kind around here."
Yeah, we don't need that. But when they were going on about doors, I was cracking up. I was like, "This is ridiculous." But no, I like them digging into his personal life. I mean, anytime they show anybody has like anything going on outside, I want to know details. But obviously, we'll get there. But what they end up doing with his personal life, I thought was crazy.
Okay. Yeah, I can't wait to dive into that. Anything else from episode 2? Other than we just get the gang back together, essentially. And then we have
I thought it was I like Milicic just going around just firing people, being very cold about it was cool. Just basically doing damage control, trying to fix that whole situation, but ultimately ended up having to bring them all back. Like you say, get the gang back together. So I think they really drove home like Mark is important for a reason when they wanted to increase his salary by like 20% or something like that. Just to make sure that everybody was happy. So, but yeah, we're still kind of setting up by episode 2.
Do you think that is interesting that you say that, because it's obvious by the time we get to the end that Mark was chosen for a reason, because that's why he was so good at it, because it was his wife's self-conscious. But Petey was the manager before that. So I wonder when that changed as far as how important that Mark was, to your point, Ken.
You know what? I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Petey was the guy. Petey was
in Mark's position.
Yeah.
So I wonder, were they doing something different, or was it always just his wife's numbers that they were doing?
I have no idea.
They showed. Interesting.
That's a good question. I forgot all about Petey. Damn.
I did a rewatch. That's what made me think of, because Petey was essentially Mark. And if Mark was doing it just because that was his wife, and as they were explaining what the numbers were, it seemed like Petey wouldn't have been doing it, or was he doing it to someone else?
What's funny is I just rewatched season 1 as well, and then binged season 2. Because, by the way, this is not a week-to-week show for me at all.
No,
but
it's not.
But yeah, no, I never thought about that at all, Spike. I don't know. I don't know, because they made it very clear that Lumen was targeting at least Dylan Gemma. I don't know if they were targeting Mark and Gemma from the beginning, but they were at the very least targeting Gemma. So I don't know when that whole shift started. Or maybe I kind of wonder if maybe fuck, I don't know. This is one of those shows where, like, just about any other show, I can come up with theories and shit. This one, I'm just like, this is worse than Lost. I'm just like, I don't know what the fuck is going on.
You look at this and you like, I don't know what I just watched. I know it was acted well and it was shot well, but I'm not sure as to what the fuck is going on.
I know I enjoy it.
I enjoy being in this world, but I can't tell you too much more. All right, episode 3 was the Mamma Aliens Nurturable. MAMMALIANS. Yeah, that was episode 3. And the synopsis is Mark and Haley distribute missing posters of Miss Casey throughout the Severance floor. Their search leads them to the Mamma Aliens Nurturable department, where they encounter initially hostile employees. Upon learning about Miss Casey's session with the Mamma Aliens, the department members agree not to obstruct Mark and Haley's search. What y'all think about this scene with the Mamma Aliens and them finding that department?
Bro, it's just more weird shit. Like you bursting weird. It's like, what the fuck are goats? And like, what is this? And then she was like, are you here to kill us? You know, which now that I finished it, I thinking back on it, that line probably had some other meaning to it because she looked like she was really, fearful. But yeah, and I'm like, well, what if they said, yeah, like, well, what are you gonna do? Like, they were like, yeah, we actually are here to kill you. But I think they, I guess, because Miss Casey ended up on that floor somehow, right? Mm-hmm. And she was nice to them. So yeah,
and I was gonna say they went back to the floor, I believe, closer to the end. The question that I think became interesting later on because once Mark finished that 25th folder, they were going to kill them too, right? Is that what y'all got from that later on? I'm skipping ahead a little bit here.
They were going to kill who?
Mark and Haley. After he completed the file and did the band came out and shit.
Oh, Haley. Yeah, I think they were going to die.
Okay.
Yeah. I definitely think that their usefulness was gone at that point. Helly wasn't going to die because Helly's real life isn't. Well, I guess, unless you're saying she's going to die for that world.
Right.
Mm-hmm. But yeah. I don't trust at any point throughout this season that Helly is not Helena. Like, once they did it to me one time, I was like, I don't believe you ever at this point. So
you thought she was playing her the whole time?
Huh?
You thought she was playing her the whole time?
Not in season 1.
Okay.
But throughout this season, I didn't trust it when they were like, oh yeah, this is Helly. I just didn't trust it. But as far as the mammalians or whatever the fuck, I was like, okay, is there some kind of weird satanic something going on? Because why are there so many goats? And then there was like the big black Phillip goat in the background. And I was like, okay, I don't know what's going on here. And then Brianna Tarth is here. I'm confused about what the hell is happening right now. So yeah, it was definitely some more weird ass shit, but unlike any other show, I'm like, I'm here for it. I'm here for all the weird shit that makes no sense.
Yeah, and I forgot the actor that was playing Helena and switching back and forth between Helly. Like, I did not pick up on that it was a different person until later, and which we'll get to like the next episode. But the way she was dropping like subtle hints and signs that this was a mole, as they call it, was kind of crazy. It was really, really good by her. But that was I forgot to mention that when you brought that up.
Something happened that made me think that's not her. It's been a minute now since I started rewatching this season, so I don't remember what it was. But she did or said something, and I was like, that ain't Helly. What the fuck? Oh, when she got off the elevator.
Mm-hmm.
When we first see her and the way that they hugged and kissed or whatever for a hot second, she seemed super awkward. If you go back and watch, you could tell that she was not into it. Like when they left off in season 1, Helly was like, I want this to
Locked
happen.
in.
Like, yes, I'm into you. But then, like in this season, I don't know. I was like, that's not her. That's either a clone. I didn't think it was the outside Helena or whatever, but I was like, that's not Helly. I feel
Do you think it was her?
Cyborg or something? I
This
was
is
like,
jumping ahead. My, my bad. I didn't mean to cut you off. Did you think it was her later on when she was like seemingly fell for Mark? Or you think she was acting the whole time because they needed it?
You mean which part? You mean when they went to the snow?
I know that wasn't her in the snow.
Okay,
I'm talking about after that. After that, she acted like she was so offended when she wanted to sleep with him again. And then they went to the room.
Her then. Yes.
Okay, got it.
But we'll get to it. But at the end, I do not think that was her.
Okay, got it. Also on this episode, you had Irv, my man, walking around with the hallway picture. And he goes to show those to people in the exports hall. And he wants somebody to tell him where this is. Felicia from OID identifies it as the export hall, excuse me. And then Dylan is granted a visitation from his Audi wife, Gretchen. What did y'all think? I thought this was probably one of the most interesting storylines. Like, was it surprising? Was it surprising that his Audi wife was in here talking to his Annie and how interesting she obviously was from the beginning?
Yeah, I don't remember much of their storyline. Didn't really connect until later.
Damn.
When she fell in love with him. But yeah, so in the beginning, I really honestly wasn't paying too much attention to their interactions.
Got it. Mike, what'd you say?
Well, first off, with Irv walking around with the painting, I was confused because I was like, how would he have seen? Like, remember they said that his Audi painted it, I thought.
Mm-hmm.
And I was
Didn't he go out? I think he took it when he went out.
But how would his Audi have ever seen that door?
He was dreaming about it. He was dreaming about it.
Why is he dreaming about that door?
That's a good point.
Like,
because you remember in season 1, he kept painting it. He just kept painting it over and over and over because he said he's seen it in his dreams.
Right.
But that is a good point. I don't think they ever mentioned why his Audi would have seen it unless it's some type of cross thing in their minds subconsciously.
Because he was painting it before they did the overtime thing, the overtime contingency. He was already doing that. So I thought that was weird. But I liked seeing Dylan's wife show up because I was like, okay, there has to be a reason that they're doing this. So they're gonna bring this storyline back later. So I was trying to pay attention. Nothing out of the ordinary happened, but I think they did, either she said it or implied it, that the outside Dylan was a bit different than the inside Dylan. So I was like, oh yeah, they're definitely gonna bring something back with this.
And they got into that later, like you said, as far as bringing it back. I thought that was a really good storyline in the sense of how they seen people interact. Because even with Mark and his sister, the interaction, like it was brother-sister interaction. Her seeing this other side of her husband to me was really, and liking him was crazy to me.
Yeah, because she said that he reminded her of the way her husband used to be. So I thought that was super interesting, especially when I can't remember which episode it was, but especially when we finally do see how they interact with each other outside. I think actually, had we already seen that by this episode? Yeah, we did. We did, because we saw, remember when he was going on the job interviews and she calls him?
Oh, yeah.
And he's a fucking dick.
Yeah.
He's an absolute dick. So I think by the time we got to her showing up and meeting the any Dylan, she was already like, well, this guy is 10 times nicer than my husband actually is. So I knew that this was going somewhere.
And that's an interesting thing. Like, people do want to know what their significant other is like at work. Like, how do you act around your coworkers and stuff? That's funny. I thought that was an interesting thing. We had Rickon. He's back talking about his book. They are you, you are they, you are for Ennies. Cobell, what do y'all think about this character? You talking about least favorite characters, Ken, is being Miss Cobell. I'm right there with Rickon. He's useless to me.
Who the hell is Rickon?
The brother, the
Brother-in-law.
the wife's husband that wrote the book.
Oh, well, I'm
That's
with you
that's
then.
how unmemorable he is. You can't.
Yeah.
The dude is always talking about the book.
Yeah, man, get him out of here, man. I don't care about this guy.
Mike, you feel the same way?
Yes, 100%. But I do think that he's there for a reason. I just don't know what the reason is. He was much more prominent in season 1. Season 2, it was almost like he got in trouble or something and they wrote him out. Like,
Facts.
I don't know if the actor did something crazy or what, but nah, I feel like something is going to happen with him, but maybe not. But yeah, he's definitely my least favorite character. I forgot all about him until the end of the fucking show.
It's funny. He irritates my soul. All right. So Haley learns that Miss Casey is Mark's Audi's wife, leading to a complex emotional dynamic. Now, Mike, you still like, had you thought this was not her yet when she learned that was her wife, being that they had kissed and everything? Or did you think it was?
Is this episode
Because
3?
she acted surprised. This episode 3.
I don't think I thought something was up. So let me be clear. It's not like I was Mr. Smart Guy and I was like, oh, I think that this is definitely the outside Helly or outside whatever the fuck her name is, Helena. I've figured it out. But it was like, no, I think something's wrong. I don't know what's going on with this girl, but she's not acting the same. And even in this point, I was just like, something ain't right. Something is not right with her. I can't remember which episode it was where they finally do kind of release that info, but anytime I saw her before that, I was like, nah, I don't trust her. She's not acting the way she acted before. Which kudos to the actor, because she fucking killed
the
it.
subtle stuff. She did a fantastic job. Also, in this episode, we learned that black lady is living in Mark's basement or something like that. Like I really didn't understand the dynamic of what was going on there. But what did y'all think about her obsession with getting Mark like to do the procedure?
Reintegration?
Reintegration, yeah.
I really wanted to know, one, I wanted to see it fully work. I think it's interesting that they have that procedure. I can't remember. I didn't get a chance to rewatch season 1, but I can't remember if we even knew that it even existed.
Yeah,
Petey tried it.
Okay.
He killed himself.
Oh, that's right. He died
outside the store.
Okay.
I don't think it's
okay.
What do you mean you think? We seen him die.
Did we?
You don't think? Yeah. Remember, he bled out outside the store or some crazy shit.
I thought that the cops came and grabbed him and like put him in like a ambulance and took him off or something, and then later on they just said he died.
Oh, okay, you're right.
I don't remember though. I could be wrong again.
I know we seen him fall out and he was bleeding and shit, but you're right. They never said he's dead. So that's a good point. All right, so Mark agrees to undergo that procedure after Regabi, I guess that's her name. She confirms that his wife is alive. As the process begins in Mark's basement, he experiences flashes between the present and his orientation is severed on the floor.
Hey, is this the episode when he got that weird ass painting, Mr. Millicek?
Man, I was like, what in the get out is happening right now, bro? What the fuck is happening right now? I was like, am I just being sensitive? But this shit feels racist as fuck.
Hey, they was playing in his face all season, to be honest with you. They was playing in his face all season.
Yeah, but in this episode in particular, the one that Ken is talking about, I'm like, this is racist. This feels super fucking racist.
Yeah, it was weird. It was really weird.
Oh yeah, Jalen's right too. They went to Petey's funeral because they met his daughter, and they played the video of him playing the old rock song. I remember that. Yeah, he's dead. He did that because they went to the funeral.
They show his body.
He was in the casket.
I'm sure Gemma had a funeral too, didn't she?
Maybe, but he was in the casket, or something was in the casket that resembled him.
All right.
But yeah, because I remember they showed that video and his daughter was singing the song and shit like that.
I don't remember that at all, but I believe you.
We are on episode 4 now, Woe's Hollow. Here, the teams find themselves on a frozen lake as part of a team building retreat known as Ortabo. Immediately, I was turned off. I ain't gonna hold y'all on this episode. I was like, I do not want to see group building with them. I want to be at Lumen figuring out what the fuck is going on.
This was a very important episode, Spike.
It was. You're right, Ken, but I did not. I was mad. It irritated my soul that they was outside team building. Like you said,
were you upset after you finished the episode or when the episode started?
When it first came on.
Okay.
Because I was like, oh, what is this bullshit? I really hate when shows get like they take an episode and just go all the way off plot and just do this side tangent on like just whatever else with two other characters. I thought this is what they was about to do.
Okay.
But they did wrap it together well.
Yeah, because I think it was by episode 4, and when we opened with Mr. Irvin, and I remember saying out loud, I don't know what the fuck is going on in this show. Because I had 3 episodes of just confusion. It's just like all kind of sort of things are happening. And I was like, now I see why people are, sort of down on it. But by the time it ended, bro, Irvin is a damn G, bro. Like and brilliant and how he figured that whole damn thing out.
How he was looking at her through the trees,
sacrificed himself.
That was fire. It looked like he was looking at her through the trees. He was like, nah, something ain't right. And she was smiling back, and they were showing that clip. That was fire. I agree. What'd you think about this episode, Mike?
I fucked with this episode. I did get confused, and I had to actually stop it and go back because I thought I missed an episode. Because I was like, "Why are they in the snow?" There was no lead up to this at all. But once we got into it, I was like, "All right, I'm here." And then watching Irvin trying to figure this shit out, and little pieces being dropped, and him being like, "Wait a minute," and seeing the clones. That's what made this episode fucking dope for me, because I was like, okay, I guess they're in a dream state or something, because when they were all on the edge of that cliff or whatever, and they look over and there's one of the clones that's just like pointing, I was like, what in the fuck is going on? What is this?
I think this is the only show
where it was like, okay, this isn't a dream. I was like, all right, I don't understand anything that's happening. I didn't feel like this the first season. The first season, I was like, I'm confused, but I'm piecing together, okay, they're just in an office doing weird shit. This season, I've been like, bro, 4 episodes. I don't know what the fuck is happening.
Yeah,
I was the same.
Mike, I rewatched episode 3 because I was so confused. I was like, I must have missed the scene, and I didn't know where it was at. I was like, I must have not been paying attention to episode 3. You have to watch everything, and I rewatched episode 3 all over again.
I'm with you.
It was one of those. I'm glad I'm not alone in this. It was one of those where I thought I fell asleep, and it just went on to the next episode. So I was like, okay, I'll watch it tomorrow since I fell asleep, and then I played it. I was like, nah, I had to have missed something because there's no way that I'm this confused. And we 4 episodes in. But what I do like about Severance is it's one of the few shows that can do this. From another show that we watch, I think it can do it as well, where it just keeps getting more confusing. And you're like, oh, I'm just going to roll with it, bro. I'm just going to roll with it. And I ain't going to try to figure it out. But yeah, we all had the same experience in this one because I swore that I missed something.
Yeah, and I like how it was just one little thing when she was like, oh, he just mad because his boyfriend, is out of here. And he was like, and he confronted her. It was like, yeah, because Helly is not mean, or however he said it. And he just started to drown her ass, bro. That shit was
crazy. Oh my God, that was crazy.
He was like, yeah, Millichat, do it. Do it.
Hey, Herb was fed up. Like,
like, stop acting like I'm stupid. This is not her. But then,
oh my God,
that raises. Well, I guess we still, by this point, we definitely know for a fact because she says, like, turn off the whatever the fuck that thing is, and it brings back Helly. But the show didn't tackle this, and I'm probably on an island, but I was like, yo, she raped him then. Isn't that rape? I was like, how the fuck? So I was expecting the next episode to be insane, but Mark never even like went there. But I was like, bro, your ass just got fucking sexually assaulted, my G. Because like you thought you were fucking Helly, but it was actually somebody else. That was,
and she was doing that to keep him interested, right? Like she was doing it to keep him engaged with Lumen.
Yes.
That was
Yeah.
And again, they never went back to this, but I was like, bro, this is fucked up. This show is fucked up. She fucked this guy and she wasn't even interested in him. And I also think she did it because she's jealous, because she doesn't have anybody. She doesn't have relationships like that. Because they show when I don't remember if this was an episode prior or if this is the episode after, but there's that scene where she's watching their interactions on the TV. And she looks like she's jealous and bothered by the fact that her innie was able to like form some kind of relationship. So she fucked him because she was like, I don't know, man. This shit fucked my brain up.
Because at this point the reintegration is kind of taking place, because he had a flashback of Gemma's head on her body.
Yeah, when it was her.
He was like, whoa. She was like, you all right?
Because he's now realizing he's in love with two different people. This is man, this is crazy.
Yeah, this show was a mind fuck.
It
genuinely is. Anything else from episode 4? Nothing much more happened other than we pretty much went through it there. Milicic obviously intervened and kept him from drowning. That he fires Irv, and that reverts him to his outie state. I was sad we weren't gonna see Irv no more, man. Like I thought that was gonna be like it for him. He's arguably one of the best characters, I think,
and he's definitely one of the better actors.
Oh my god!
So I was surprised that they were getting rid of him. But like, I watched this episode dumb late, like 1:30 in the morning, and when it ended, I was like, "Yo, can I like stay awake? Like, how can I make myself stay awake?
I gotta see what's next.
I had some coke to do a line real quick. I need to see what happens in the next episode."
Speaking of the next episode, it's Exports Hall. So this is following the ORTBO. Helena is compelled to continue working on the severed floor as her innie until Mark completes the Cold Harbor file. So were y'all surprised that she wanted to go back even after she almost got drowned? This is the second time she almost died down there because she tried to hang herself the other time.
I don't think she wanted to go back.
She didn't want to go back. They made her.
They convinced her. You're right. They convinced her. You're right. She did say I almost died down there.
Yeah, I think she was like, "No, I don't want to go back down there. What the fuck?"
Which is crazy because she's the CEO's daughter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And they just kept sending her down there to do this work. Like that's some pretty cold ass shit.
But remember, we haven't got there yet. But remember, he flat out says, "I don't love her."
Yeah, I'm kidding. Yeah,
and he has other kids. So he didn't care about her.
It was, What y'all think about that other guy, man? The weird, creepy dude that was, I don't know if he was her boss, the one that kept inputting shit in the computer.
Drummond, Mr. Drummond?
Yeah, Mr. Drummond. You remember him, Mike?
No, I do. I also remember him in this particular episode.
They were in the room. Weren't they in the room trying to convince Haley to go back down? That's who she was talking to him.
Yeah.
Okay.
The other he's one of the execs. Nah, he didn't really do much until the end. He was just kind of just part of the board or something like that, where he was just giving commands that he was receiving to them. But it definitely made it seem like he was her boss and that he's taking orders and following orders as given from people way above him. So,
So also after that happens, the team storms into Milicic office and they demand to know where Irv is, because they remember, but what did he say, or what were they saying?
So Milicic said that they had no choice but to permanently fire him.
Mm-hmm.
So to the innies, that basically represents death, which is why Dylan was calling him a fucking murderer.
And he said he's not dead. He's on a voyage. He said, I don't give a fuck where his Audi is.
Yeah, I don't give a dry fuck about where his Audi is. I'm going to start using that. I don't give a dry fuck what he's talking about. Dylan's awesome.
Yeah, he is. He's bodying this role. So he does fulfill the request. He has a funeral. Dylan gives some words that reference. He gave some final words. Behind it, he discovers a card. Well, he sees that those final words came from a poster. And behind that poster, he discovers that card. He pulls that card out. Did y'all get anything from that?
I couldn't read it. They went too fast.
Yeah, I ain't know what it was about either.
I thought it would come back up, but it really didn't, though, right?
It did. That was
when did it come
the
back up?
directions.
Mm-hmm.
Oh,
because didn't he write that in season 1?
I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I think so. So he hinted. He told Dylan, he told Dylan something like, "Hang in there, buddy," and that tipped him off to go look at that painting. I can't remember the details, but that tipped him off to go look at the painting.
Yeah, because it says here in the recap, his final words. During the ceremony, Dylan realizes that Irvin's final words reference a break poster.
Yeah,
and that's what made him look behind it.
Yep, and then behind it was that paper with all of the writing on it, which was basically the directions to
directions
that
out. And then that's what Mark was reading at the end. Okay, that makes
sense.
It lines up with it. It was. You're right. You're absolutely right. All right, so Milacek undergoes a performance review. Yeah.
Bro, this shit fucking racist, bro.
This shit was fucked up, bro.
When I tell you they played in his face all season, bro. Like they only did the black man like this. What did y'all think about this review?
And Miss Wang, well, she set it up. She was like, "Don't you got to?" Because she said, "I got a question," and whatever she said, I can't remember what she said. He was like, "That was a statement," and then she was like, well, "Don't you have your performance review coming up?" That was a question. Like, how you letting this little girl talk to you like this, man? But man, like they did him dirty. They said a complaint is you use too many big words, bro. What the fuck? Bro, I'm telling you, man. And he's sitting there. He's so mad, and he's sitting there just trying to dumb himself down in order to get on their level. It's crazy as hell.
It was insane. He said that one of the remarks were, like you said, he used too many big words. He failed kindness reviews reforms, and he demands that innies be treated as they really are. So, what do you think about the performance review, Mike? Mike. Let's see what else happened in this episode. Also, in this episode, Rickon begins to work on a Lumen edition of the UR, laden with company propaganda, causing tension with
Devin is Mark's sister, right?
That's the sister.
Okay, yeah.
So Irvin Audi notices Bert watching him. Bert admits to following Irvin since the overtime contingency and theorizes they were romantically involved on the severed floor. He invites Irving to dinner with his husband, Fields, and Mark's expecting a sudden flash to the severed floor while at home seeing Gemma.
And Mark also let not Mark. Mr. Milacek also let Mark know that he knew that they had set, so he was holding that as leverage over him. But this part with Bert and Fields, first of all, that's my guy from French. That's that sci-fi show.
He was a doctor, wasn't he?
Yeah. I always like him in roles, man. But so I thought he was good. I knew he was gonna, he sort of kind of plays the same character, but I still like seeing him in roles because I don't know, I just have a connection to him because of the doctor role. But man, when they were at the dinner, he was like, he said, "Man, stop playing. That was 20 years ago."
The dinner was hilarious. We'll get to that because I think it's the next episode. Were y'all surprised to see Christopher Walken's character? Was it Bert?
Yeah, that's Bert.
Yeah, Bert. Yeah, were y'all surprised to see Bert?
Nah.
He's too big of an actor to not show back up.
Yeah, interesting relationship. All right, so they have that, and Mark experienced a sudden flash to the severed floor while at home, and he sees that Gemma is alive. Any thoughts? Okay. Episode 6 is flooding the chip. So Dylan informs Mark and Haley about his discovery of Irvin's instruction to reach the export halls. Milacek takes time off to address the infractions of his performance review, and he leaves Miss Hong in charge. Mark confesses to Haley that he and Helena had sex during the ORTBO, feeling that Helena stole this experience from her. She initiates sex with Mark. Were you skeptical of this, Mike?
So at this point, I did think it was Helly at this point, because I was like, well, it would be weird for her to be like, I don't know. I feel like it was definitely Helly. The scene was odd. It was awkward as shit. Like, didn't they like fuck under some desks or something? I don't know.
She's like, here's our version of a what's it? A tent. Here's a tent right here. Yeah.
Oh, that's what they were doing?
Mm-hmm.
Yes, because she said that she wanted a similar experience.
Dude, that's super weird. That's super weird. You know your Audi raped your boyfriend and you go recreate the rape. That's weird. That's super weird. And I'm actually kind of bugged out that the show is kind of just like flowing along over with this. But yeah, I don't know. I thought it was cute that they did finally get to, have their moment. But I assume he nutted in her. So I kind of wonder if she's like going to get pregnant or something.
That would be interesting.
Because this whole shit is based on the fertility situation that Mark and Gemma had. Based on the way the show ended, this season ended, if they throw in Helly being pregnant, this is going to add so much fucked up drama to this situation. So the first thing I was thinking, I was like, oh, she's pregnant. Because that's how it happens in shows. You fuck one time and she's pregnant. So I was like, oh, she's definitely pregnant.
Man, when after they were done, and Helly was like, "Was it different with me?" And I was like, that? "Mark, you better not answer that question, bro." And he did. He never answered the question, Mike.
Bro,
he just kissed her, bro. He was like, "Hey, that was smooth."
Hey, Mike, you got to think about it. That's his first time getting a piece. So the second time, you actually like, yeah,
it is true.
Yeah, that is true too. But so you gotta wonder that. I wonder if that's how it works too. If you're an innie and you technically never had sex, but your body feels like it's had sex before, right?
But you wouldn't be familiar with the sensation, I'm sure.
Mm-hmm. It's a brand new experience. He like,
that's a brand new experience.
Let me try that again.
Well, I didn't think about that. That's crazy. Under some desks.
Oh shit!
He definitely got her pregnant then, y'all. Because he nutted hella quick.
She said, "I don't want her memory. I want my own.
I want my own memory."
Yeah, and she ran game on him too.
Right. Remember these nuts, goddammit.
He's like, "I'll be your Huckleberry."
Find us a tent.
So we go back to they've created an Audi visitation suite now. And in here we have Gretchen and Visit dealing again, and they kiss. Did the kiss surprise y'all? You knew it was going this way, Mike?
Yeah. Yeah. I knew it was going in this direction when they showed the Audi and how he was an asshole. And the innie,
he asked for a hug the first time, right?
Yeah. And then this one, they were kind of like Googling at each other, making googly eyes or whatever. And I was like, oh, I see what they're about to do. So they already tackled, like, what if you're any kind of like rapes your boyfriend or your Audi rapes your boyfriend of the innie. I don't know how the fuck you say that. Then you have to tackle that topic. But then there's also, is it cheating if it's still you?
Yep.
So I was like, man, this is nothing like what I thought they were going to tackle after watching the first season. This is crazy.
It's like she fell in love with another version of him.
Like she fell in love with the old version of him. That's what makes this so interesting. Oh, man, this is great.
Yeah, I agree. Kid, you said you didn't really care too much about those.
No, not until we got to what they were setting up towards the end, because I had the same question Mike had. I was like, well, is that cheating? But yeah, but nah.
We also see later she lied and said that the visitation got canceled too. That's when you know stuff was starting to be changing. So I thought that was really interesting.
Yeah, because she knows he's an asshole and he would get all jealous.
Yep. Also, we have Burton and his husband Fields. They have Irvin over for dinner, and an awkward conversation unfolds. Didn't he ask him did they fucking work? Didn't he ask him that?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. He said, I refuse to believe y'all not fucking at work.
Oh my God,
But,
bro.
but that was weird too, because I assume he knows how the whole like any outie thing works.
Mm-hmm.
So why would he expect Irv to even know if they had sex at work? He wouldn't know.
He wouldn't
That's
know.
true.
But
So
That is true.
what's his face would know. Christopher Walken's Bert would know. And especially when he slipped up and said he's been there for 20 years. I was like, oh, Bert is not gay. Bert is a fucking murderer. I don't know what's up with Bert. But something ain't right. Because we didn't mention it, but earlier they showed Bert sitting in the car. Like
just out there
creeping
stalking.
on him. Yeah, I was like, oh, Bert is evil.
But they had just met in season 1, though, right?
Mm-hmm.
It seemed like they had just ran into each other. Okay.
Yeah, they did. But remember when he got out, he was stalking him. Irvin was. And then he found out he had, he already had somebody. He had a partner, a boyfriend, a husband, or whatever. And then that's why, because I think he even went to the door or whatever. But
yeah, he did.
Yeah, but nah, this was good seeing the two of them, play this whole scene out, and all three of them at the table. It was really, really dope. And seeing, I'm trying to remember if he snitched on purpose.
Me too. I don't know.
Or if he really slipped up.
I don't know.
I couldn't tell.
Yeah,
I thought the same thing, because I was like, is he trying to sabotage their relationship because he knew if he said that, then Irvin would be like, what the fuck? So I don't know.
And he did. It was like, wait, wasn't this thing created like 12, 13 years ago?
Mm-hmm.
He was like,
damn,
yeah, enough of that.
He basically told me, shut up.
Yeah.
It's my dick. You can't have it. I don't share my dick.
So Rigby, she tells Mark they got to accelerate the reintegration, and they do that by surgically flooding the severance chip, despite the risk of hemorrhage. Mark initially refuses, as he should have, but later he encounters Helen at a restaurant. He leaves shortly after and decides to proceed with the procedure while talking to Devin shortly after the procedure. Mark suffers a seizure and collapses. This black lady, she's a villain in my book. Would y'all say the same?
I don't think she's a villain.
Bro, she don't give a fuck about Mark if he died or not. She just trying to figure out however Lumen did her, she just trying to get her revenge. Like she like, we're gonna flood your brain. Hopefully you live. Maybe you don't. If not, I'll just find somebody else.
But Mark asked for it though.
After he said no originally though, Ken. He was
and then he came back. He changed his mind. He was like, yeah, you know what? I'm with it. She's like a voodoo scientist, and how she kind of put that thing together, bro. It's just like, but yeah, I mean, he consented to the procedure, and she did it. I think that's kind of crazy that flooding the ship, that process. And then I think he passed out in this episode or the next one. Yeah.
At the end of this episode.
Yeah.
But the lady know how to get them chips out. She got it out of my boy in the first season and brought it back.
She never got it out. Remember?
She
white lady got it.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant. I couldn't think of her name. The white lady, she know how to get the chips out, right?
Well, if they're dead.
Oh yeah, she must have just cut his head. He was already dead.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't think I can let anybody cut a hole in my head, bro.
No, that looked like it hurt.
It doesn't. Well, at least that's what they say.
Still, you're right. I just couldn't do it, Ken, for the purpose of how it looked. All right, next is episode 7. This is after Mark collapses, of course. Episode 7 is called Cold Harbor. So in flashbacks, Mark and Gemma meet at a blood drive. They go over how they met, and the two go on having a loving marriage, which is eventually marred by difficulties conceiving a child. After a miscarriage, Gemma and Mark visit a fertility clinic run by Lumen. In the present, Gemma lives on the testing floor at Lumen, where every day she visits multiple rooms which share the names of MDR files. This reminded me of that show we watched on Apple Plus, where the dude kept going in and out of the rooms that had the different scenarios with the dark matter.
Oh yeah, Dark
Is that the
Matter.
name of it? This reminded me a little bit of that. Did y'all get some of those vibes or no? I really didn't pick up what was going on at first either, though.
I had to watch this episode twice.
Mm.
This shit was so good. This episode was so fucking good. But like, I was just trying to figure out, okay, what is happening? And it all being based around them being in a relationship and trying to have a baby. But then I couldn't figure out because at the blood drive, there's like a little box or something that had the Lumen symbol on it. So it was like Lumen was putting on the blood drive and they were both there. So I was like, okay, is this really happening? Or is this like an implanted memory or something? But nah, this whole episode, man, I thought was amazingly done. Oh, I forgot what question you asked though.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I didn't understand fully what was going on, but just the acting, the way everything was put together, the tension, the drama, just you being able to pick up on what was happening without any words being spoken, like when she just in the shower, just in a fetal position.
Oh man,
was so good. So I'm glad you kind of gave some context to what was going on in terms of the fertility and stuff like that. You know, towards the end when he lied and said Mark remarried and had a kid, and she knocked him upside the head.
Your husband's married. He has kids.
You know, so I like that because I don't know if she, because I think she said you're lying, and I don't believe you. And most of the time, you know, in shows you'll see them kind of go along with it. Not her. She knocked him and tried to escape. But at this point, I think they had already have her sort of brainwashed, right? Because she's flipping back between Gemma and Miss Casey.
Yeah, but the fucked up part is Mark is a part of it. So it was like each one of those rooms, if she goes in it, is a completely different personality.
Oh,
and that's what's so fucked up about this episode is so they keep showing all these rooms. So they show her going into one room and she's like on an airplane or whatever that's about to crash.
Mm-hmm.
She goes in a different room and she's just like the old weird creepy doctor dude's wife. It's just all of these things. It's like they're adding these traumatic scenarios to see if her outer personality is affected at all. So this is when we figure out like that's what Lumen is doing. They're trying to create a system where rich people can kind of like pay. Like if you have to go through a traumatic experience, like she had to go get her some bad dental work. They're making it to where you can just like have that be a split off of your personality. You go deal with that and you don't even experience it. You wake up and it's like, oh yeah, my tooth is fixed. Cool. I didn't experience the pain or any of that. This shit was, and Mark is the one that's been creating these different.
I was going to say each of the rooms was a file that Mark was working on. So that's what he's doing at the computer when those numbers pop up.
Yep.
That's like based on the experience that she's having in her mind.
Yep.
And that's why he says you can feel the numbers, and that's why he gets rid of the numbers that he can feel. It was crazy. That was it was really subtle though. Like they weren't very just like, hey, here's what's happening. Like you really had to be like, wait, what? To understand, like, oh, okay, because this is what they're doing at the computer every day.
That's why I had to watch it twice because I was like, wait. What is happening?
Facts.
This shit was nuts.
Yeah. I'm gonna go back and rewatch it now. Wow, knowing that's crazy. Because my favorite part with the episode when she wanted to call Miss Cobell and that black woman got the fuck up out of there.
Like, if you call her, I'm leaving.
She packed up and left.
And left him on. She said, "You gonna leave him on the floor like this?" I like when a sister texted her too. She was like, "Wait, I'm gonna tell you how this is about to go. First of all, you're not gonna talk to me like whatever you talking right now."
Mm-hmm.
I liked his sister when she was.
Oh yeah, she was like, "Look, I already know you're smarter than me, but
we ain't gonna do this like this." Oh man. So she did call Miss Cobell, and then on the testing floor, Gemma tells Mar that she wants to leave, and he lies and says that Mark is remarried. Gemma knocks out Meyer unconscious and steals his key card. She attempts to escape via the elevator on the severed floor, but reverts to Miss Casey. And then Millicek redirects her back down the elevator. Mark awakens with Devin beside him, still recalling memories of Gemma. That was that one.
The way
Next
it
one.
ends where they see each other.
Bro.
Oh my
And they-
God.
All the
yeah,
feels.
Crazy.
that was fire.
Oh man.
Episode 8 is the exports hall. Here is where Dylan informs Mark and Haley about the discovery of Irvin's instruction to reach the export hall. Millicek takes time off to address the infraction of his performance review, leaving Miss Hong in charge. Mark confesses to Haley that is this episode 8 still?
Yeah, you going backwards.
You know,
Episode 8 is Colvin's solo
Yeah.
episode.
Yes, okay.
Cobell.
Yes, that's when she goes to the old place, and it's her solo episode in the sense of we learn how much that she knows about Lumen. I don't know if it's her grandmother or somebody that's related to her who like
I don't know who
said she's broken the program. But how did me and Ken were talking when you walked away for a second, Mike? Miss Cobell really didn't do anything for me, but this episode helped. It helped in the sense of like why she around, but now we know that she like probably know more about Lumen than anybody. So what did you think about this episode?
First of all, I fuck with her because ever since the first season, I like her because I'm just like, she knows something, and I like how she delivers lines. She'll encompass 12 paragraphs in like one line, you know. But this episode, when I finally see her after, because we didn't talk about the fact that she was going to go back up in Lumen. And then she put 2 and 2 together and was like, oh, no, y'all about to kill me.
Yeah.
And she just turned around and walked right back to her car and was like, fuck this, I'm out. But this episode was super interesting because now I'm getting more of an impression that these motherfuckers are a cult. These Kier people, like whoever is worshiping Kier, they're a fucking cult. Which definitely makes me think that there's some weird satanic shit going on with these damn goats. But like that whole shit about her going to the diner or whatever and talking to that guy who I don't know who the fuck he is.
It seemed like somebody she used to date or something.
I couldn't tell if that was supposed to be like her ex-husband or something, because didn't she call him by the same last name? Like, didn't she say his name
was her
like
brother?
Corey Cobell or something? Maybe it's her brother. That would make sense.
But they kissed. But
they did. Well, shit, they do that shit in fucking White Lotus. So, you know, I don't know.
Maybe it's like Jesus. Maybe it's her ex-husband.
I thought it was her ex-husband or something. I don't know, but either way, this episode was very interesting to me because she kind of implies that she started Lumen before it was Lumen. Like they took her idea. So I'm wondering what's up with that.
Ken, what'd you think about this episode?
I can see that. Yeah, I can see that. That would make sense. They of course, because that's what a corporation would do. You see Elon doing it. So so yeah, it would make sense for that to happen. So, but how does she? Well, and that's the proof. And why she went there, you know, I guess that town they're full of drug addicts or something like that. So, and she has a very traumatic background, which her creating that process makes a lot more sense now that I know exactly what is intended to do, because she would have done that to try to save her mom from experiencing that pain with the illness that she had. So yeah, that's actually pretty cool. But that it tells me that they're definitely going to do a lot more with her next season, since they decided to kind of flush her character out a little bit more.
So the interesting. Oh, sorry, Spike. Go ahead.
No, go ahead.
I was going to say, when you're talking about them being drug addicts, that was one of the most interesting things I found about this episode. So they were saying that, I forget the Kier's first name, but the Kier guy, that he met his wife while working at an ether factory.
Mm-hmm.
So the drug that they were all addicted to, they were all ether addicts.
Ether. Yeah.
So that little bottle that the dude, if it's her brother, her ex, or whatever, gave that old lady in the diner, that's a bottle of ether.
Mm-hmm.
But what is
like an ether
super
dealer.
interesting is there's all of these, like, and I only know this because of my mother, but like these old coal mining towns where the people working there, they all work in the coal mines, and then they all come up with cancer later. Like, that's how my mother got lung cancer. She never smoked a day in her life. And at 75, she gets lung cancer, which is a common thing for people that grew up in coal mining towns. So I definitely think they're making that parallel. Like, this is a town that's pretty much run by people working in this ether factory, but then everybody is now addicted to ether. So I thought that whole thing was interesting. Now, why they're inserting this, I have no fucking clue. But if Cobell is super traumatized by all of this, it makes sense why she would be trying to come up with a way to sever that part of her consciousness, so she could, because she clearly had a fucked up life, a really fucked up life. So it would make sense that she tried to sever that part of her consciousness so she could actually live a normal life, because she clearly has guilt about leaving her mother there while her mother was suffering so she could go off to school. So I found this episode to be really, really, really interesting.
As you talk that out, that definitely does make sense, because we see the drawings in her yearbook that she actually invented. Yeah, she actually invented this.
Yep.
And the fact that it's such a big thing now, and you have these two, the Innie and the Audi, the one that goes to work and the one that doesn't have to go to work, so you don't have those experiences like the people in her town. Look at that back. Yeah, that is dope. I didn't think about that when I was watching it. I was surprised that lady tried to burn it though.
I'm not, because she's in the cult. Like, if you look, I mean, fucking MAGA people were trying to light their shoes on fire because they were mad about, I don't remember if it was Reebok or Nike or one of them. Like, they were making videos of them burning their fucking shoes on fire to make a point. I think that these cultists are so focused on, you have to follow what Kier says. This guy knows everything. And if you deviate in any way, then you're blasphemous. I mean, Christians think the same way. They act like that too. You know, they'll be the first ones to burn somebody's, Hindu Bible or Bhagavad Gita or whatever. So it actually made sense. I just want to know more about who the fuck this lady is.
That's true. All right. Hampton finds her, takes, okay, blah, blah, blah. She answers a phone call from Devin, so this is at the end that she tells her about Mark's reintegration, and that's where we get the lead up to the next episode, the After Hours. And on the day of the Cold Hybrid Files expected completion, Mark and Devin meet Cobell, who says Gemma will die after Cold Harbor is completed, gives him the whole plan of what's going on. Mark calls in sick. He promised Millicek he'll come to work the next day. What did y'all think about the Cobell telling them believing it, and where it was going to go from there?
I think they had all the right in the world to not trust her. Shit, I still didn't trust her. So even when everything was going down, and I saw that she appeared to be out for vengeance because she created it. So, but he made the right call. I think Mark, when he tried to lie his way through and then he admitted the truth, I was like, what the fuck are you doing? But no, it made sense because she does have more knowledge and insight about what's going on and how the process worked with reintegration, et cetera, et cetera. So she was the only person that was left to call. So they had to get to somebody.
Were you surprised she was willing to help Mike?
No, because she had to have a redemption arc. By this point, it's been a season and 3/4. And they already built her up as someone we're not supposed to like. But I was already picking up that they're trying to make her a sympathetic character, which is why they gave her own episode. I mean, Bloodbath still hasn't got his own episode. It's only, little bits and pieces here and there. We still know nothing about his outside life. But they gave her that episode because they want us to start to like her. So yeah, this would be kind of lame if they did this, but I kind of wonder if she's Mark's mother or something. Because they imply in the last episode that she has been like watching over him this whole fucking time. Like watching him.
But wouldn't it be Devin's mother too, though?
Yes.
Sister? Okay.
Yeah. I forgot about Devin. Sometimes I forget who she even is, but yeah, because do they mention their parents at all? I don't remember them ever saying anything about their parents.
I don't
probably are correct. I think they talk about growing up, if I'm not mistaken, in season 1, but I could be wrong. But so you're right, he might be adopted or something like that.
Or yeah, something like because we don't know if he's blood brothers,
right?
With Devin, but yeah, I don't know, man. I'm finding her redemption arc to be pretty interesting.
Okay. Also in this episode, Ken, I want to know, have you came around yet? Because I think this was a very strong episode in the sense of Dylan, because Gretchen, his wife, confesses to Dylan about her romance with his innie. In response, Dylan threatens to quit the job. She goes back. The wife does. She confides in the innie about their fight. Tearfully says goodbye to him. Heartbroken, Dylan submits a resignation form. What a hell of a resignation form. I think this is one of the best scenes in the season, this season, when he gives him that black folder and he runs out. This was the episode, right? He gives him the folder and runs out.
Wasn't it?
Oh, that was the last episode. So he hadn't read it yet. Okay.
I thought
maybe he did it.
He read the folder in episode 8, I believe. In the last, not 8, but 10.
9. Oh, 10. Okay, gotcha.
Yeah.
Okay, well.
Yeah, it was 10.
All right, so she told him about everything. What do you guys think about it then?
So yes, by now I wish I had been paying more attention to the build up, because it still hit, because I was like, then the questions that Mike presented earlier, I'm like, well, is it technically cheating? Like, why are you so upset? She only was liking you. Like, that was you, but apparently a better version of you or a kinder version of you or what you were before. So I was wondering about that myself. I was like, you're upset that she kissed you? I didn't really understand. But yeah, I thought this was really great. And I thought they did a really good job with Dylan's character overall this season. From where he was in season 1 to where he is now. It was really good. So, but it was definitely dope seeing that. And then even the episode 10, I thought was really good too, in terms of how the response he got. But I thought this was good.
Mike, you had anything to add to it?
No, I didn't really have anything to add, but I did remember something real quick when we were talking about Mark's sister. I don't know if y'all remember this, but when they brought him back, she asked him if he knew who she was. Y'all remember this?
Mm-hmm.
And he said, "You're Persephone."
Mm-hmm.
Did y'all catch that? Because I was like, the fuck? What does that mean? That's not her name. So I went and looked it up, and Persephone, I just Googled it again. Let me just read y'all real quick. Hooper. Oh, I closed it. Fuck. She was like she was like condemned to live part of her life on like the real world or whatever, and the other part of her life in hell. So I was like, why would he call her Persephone of all things? That's me asking. That's not me being like, now why would he do this? Here's why. That's me saying, I don't fucking know. I don't get it. Yeah, she's known for her abduction by Hades, and she was known as the queen of the underworld, and she was condemned to live part of her life above ground and the other part of her life in hell. So considering we're looking at Lumen, which is clearly below ground, So I'm like, how does she fit into this? Like, is there something else going on with Devin? Why would they make a point to call her Persephone?
Because she was in these last 2 episodes, it's almost like she was switching characters too.
She's very involved, wanting to take Lumen down.
Yeah,
it's
weird. Huh. Okay,
that's interesting. Interesting. Also in this episode, Bert, he said he worked for Lumen transporting persons of interest. He breaks into Irvin's apartment and drives him to the train station. He buys Irvin a ticket, tells him never to return. They share their feelings for each other, and Bert sees Irving off. Any thoughts about that?
Man, him saying, what was it? Not now? Not, man, bro. This shit was, hey, that was intense. Because I was concerned for Irvin when he was like, hey man, take a ride with me. You never take that ride. He tried to deny it, but he had to take the ride. But yeah, man, sending him off in an attempt to save him, I suppose, and also get him away from, this whole situation, but just also recognizing that they could not have, a life together. And seeing, Christopher Walken's character Bert and how he portrayed that, seeing the anguish and want to go with him, and Bert's still trying, bro. He's still trying. He touched his hand, his face on the hand and everything, man. Now that whole scene was really, really, really dope. Yeah, I really thought that was good. Just seeing these two actors kind of play that out. That shit was tight.
Mike, what you think?
It was sad because like Irvin is saying that he's never felt love before, and I guess that kind of just makes me think like, okay, maybe he's been closeted and he's just never been able to come out and be with a man or whatever it is. I'm still not sold on Bert. I still think there's something weird going on with him. Because I thought the whole thing of like, I'm going to drive you to this station and then you have to leave town. Why do I have to leave town? And God, that scene where they're like touching foreheads and Irvin just keeps being like, hey bro, I'm ready. No, for real though, bro.
It's yours. It's
your anything you want, bro. You talking about innies and outies, bro. You can have the innie and the outie. Okay. I'm ready. I was like, oh my God. But then I was expecting them to at least kiss, but they didn't even do that. So now I'm just kind of wondering what the fuck is up with Bert. Because I guarantee this can't be the last time we're going to see Irving. He's got to come back in season 3.
Yeah.
But I'm just, where is he going? Why did he have to leave? I don't know. I got so many questions about this part.
Yeah, I was confused about that too. I had the same question that you did, Mike, as to why he gotta leave. Like, is Lumen looking for him? Like, I don't get it. So I guess we'll get some answers to that in season 3.
I don't know.
To wrap this episode up, Miss Hone completes her stint as the deputy manager, and Milchek sends her away. Haley recovers the Expo Hall direction card. She memorizes it. James Egan arrives at MDR, and then at night, Miss Cobell and Devin sneak Mark into the Severed cabin at the same birthing lodge where Devin had her child. Mark's Innie awakens in the cabin where Cobell is waiting. And that was the end of that episode.
So, 2 things, because I forgot. This is Dylan. This is where Gretchen told Dylan they couldn't be together, right? And he proposed.
Mm-hmm.
And he let out that scream.
That was sad.
Like a childlike. Yeah, that was kind of sad.
Damn.
But
he went out dirty.
but hey man, we can't skip over Mr. Milchek, bro. What he told Mr. Drummond,
man, that's amazing.
You remember he's like eat fecal. Oh no, he said devour fecklets. Bro, he said it. Let me translate that for you. He said it means eat shit.
That was so good, man.
And then he said something about monosyllable.
He said, let me say this monosyllabic. syllabic for you, or whatever the fuck that word is.
He was like, I'm not
Hey, he was
dumbing
in his
myself
bag.
down for you, bro.
He was in
Right. What the fuck?
That was dope. No, you're right. We
Yeah.
had did that. Oh man. See episode 10, the season finale entitled Cold Harbor. So through video recording, Mark's Audi asked his innie to rescue Gemma from the testing floor after he completes the Cold Harbor file. I thought this was the best scene of the whole season, quite possibly the series. When they're going back and forth on the camera, I thought it would go a lot smoother. But as he was asking the questions, I'm like, oh yeah, he's right. Like he was making really good points. It's like, I don't trust you, dude. And then what's gonna happen to me?
Right.
Like it was really good. What did you guys think about this thing?
I loved it, man. Especially the more it went on. Once I saw they were going to keep doing it, of course, then I'm starting to ask questions like, okay, well, how long is it taking for them to kind of talk to one another? Like, do you record it, put it down, and wait for the response? Like, is it instant? Like, so I'm getting into too much of the technical part of it, but just the dialogue, the conversation, the ethics of everything, which is what a lot of these, clones and AI and robots really explore. And you realize, or I realized that they do have lives. And like you said, it was like, even if it is half a life or whatever life we have, it's still ours. And we don't want to just give it away. I still want this. And I don't trust you. Like, you've been on Earth for 20 years or 20 whatever. And how am I to trust that part of who I am will continue to exist? So it was some really, really good questions that was being tossed back and forth. And I just love the emotion that both of them convey. And Adam Scott, I think, is the actor. For him to portray two different characters like that was really good as well. But no, that whole scene was dope.
Mike, what'd you think?
Yeah, I thought it was amazing the way they did that. Like, it really felt like you were watching two completely different people having a conversation with each other. It was so well done. Now there is one question I had, but before that, I thought it was interesting that Mark, the Audi Mark, the way he was trying to manipulate any Mark by lying to him. And when we realize it is when he calls Helly the wrong name. And I didn't realize it until the end. That's the same thing that tipped him off to Audi Helly being full of shit. Do y'all remember that?
In the restaurant?
Yes. He called Gemma. I forgot I think she called her
Hannah,
or Hannah, something like that. She called her the wrong name. And Mark was pissed because he was like, oh, you don't give a fuck about me. You're like, you didn't even take the time to learn my dead wife's names. I'm out. But then now we fast forward a couple episodes and Mark is doing the exact same thing to the any Mark. He's pretending he gives a shit, but he's lying. And then he ends up calling Helly the wrong name, which tips off any Mark to be like, well, you obviously don't really care about me.
So that's what pissed him off.
Yes. He realized he was full of shit and he couldn't trust him. But the part I was going to ask you, the question I was going to ask y'all, I could not figure out how did they make his innie come out in that room? Did they explain that?
No. Now we saw them I have no idea because Cobell came back and she said, I want to talk to him in private. And I didn't know if she was talking to Devin, the sister, because she walked out and then it seemed like they switched. Am I tripping? Because it seemed like the innie switched to the Audi or the Audi switched to the innie.
The innie can only function inside that room. Outside is the Audi.
Okay.
But I couldn't figure out why. I'm assuming
it has something. Well, they talked about it in season 1 and they showed it in the preview. You remember when she met that other pregnant lady?
I don't.
She Devin, when she went to go have her baby last season, she met a pregnant lady.
Yes.
And that pregnant lady, she was severed.
Yes.
and she talked to her, and then she didn't remember who she was when she seen her again. So it's something about those cabins to where the innie and the outie can. Is that what you were asking?
Yeah, because I just couldn't figure out
the cabins.
But okay, so they didn't explain explicitly what it is.
No, but they just gave reference to it in the previously on, because I think on this previously on they went all the way back to that and showed Devin talking to that lady, and then showed her again talking, and then Devin had the thought of, oh, I think this is happening in these cabins, which made them go there with Mark.
Oh, okay. I missed that part. Okay.
Yeah. But I thought that was, like, again, one of the best scenes of the series.
God, so good.
Yes. So what else we have here before we wrap up? Dylan returns the next day to read the letter from his outie, deferring his resignation request to his innie. Now we're at that scene. I thought this was brilliantly done by Dylan. I thought this was a fantastic acting job. Just the reading of this, the self-reflection, the like, no, I'm not giving up my wife, and just it was so good. This was so well written.
I agree. Yep. Do you think that God, what was my question? So do you think he went back because he realized he really didn't have a shot at her at all? Even though I know she already told him that, but he wanted to resign. Because remember, he was like, I think you should stay.
Mm-hmm.
And I guess what prompted him to stay, because that's all he had left, was being down there?
That's what I thought. I thought that was all he had, was being there.
Yep.
It's either here or nothing. Yep. Like, there is no other outside fantasy world with this lady with you. I thought that was so well done.
Well, they needed him.
All righty, so that take care of that. Now we get to the action part of it. Mark arrives on the 7-4. He completes Cold Harbor and receives. They start playing the Jordan 90s Bulls music, and Milchek comes out with a marching band. Bro, why was it so ridiculous? Do y'all know why they did this way?
Every minute of it. Every minute, bro. I was hollering, bro. You have to now. I don't know how they'll one up themselves next season, but the dance scene from season 1 is one of my favorite scenes, and they had to bring it back, but they couldn't do the same thing. So to bring out a marching band, do you know how over the top and ridiculous this was? and also kind of somewhat racist, because it was
HBCU march.
It was HBC band. But man, because I was like, Mr. Milchek, he got to dance. Like, we got to see the moves, bro. And he was getting it again, bro.
This was crazy.
Man, I loved it, bro. I loved it, man. He was smirking and stuff like that.
This was like a real drum major. Mike, what'd you think about this scene?
I just didn't get it. I guess I kind of still don't. I was just like, why are we doing this? Why are they making the black man dance around like this? I was like, I don't understand. Because again, they're just not explaining anything. So the fact that he was dancing like this, because he was like, it was just weird. I was like, why is he doing this? This, again, it feels racist, but it doesn't feel racist in like, I'm just being sensitive on making it up. It feels like this is racist, but this is part of the show. Like, it's with some sort of intention. I just don't understand what the fuck it is, but I don't know, man. I could have done without this.
Man, I laughed. You laughed? But I felt like Mike. I laughed, but I felt like Mike. I was like, what are they doing, bro? Like, what is going on?
I was waiting for it, because I was wondering how they were gonna do the dance move scene all over again, because that became kind of a meme, him doing that little thing like this or whatever. So I loved every minute of it. I did. Now I'm glad you mentioned something about him, because I did want to go back. Do you guys think, just real quick, do you guys think that other black woman he was talking to, do you think he know her, or that's his wife or someone?
What other black woman?
The little assistant.
It was a little light-skinned black woman.
She always in the room with the speaker shit.
He asked her, how did she feel about getting the paintings?
Yes.
I don't know.
And you mentioned Get Out earlier, and she had that same sort of like look on her face, like she wanted to say something, but she realized she was being monitored. So she was like, and I'm just making up one of the lines. She was like, such and such is waiting for it. And then it's like he could tell, like, oh, yeah, you're right. Is that, you know what? You're right. Let's go. And he realized that she couldn't really answer the question that he asked. So he just went along with it. It was something about that. But, you know, you got this painting where he's in basically blackface. He seemed like he's really bothered by the painting, can't really express himself. So he goes to what? Another black person to ask them about how they feel about it. And they can't say anything. So it's like they're kind of, you mentioned hell earlier, you know, you got the goats and stuff. You talk about cults and stuff like that. It all kind of connects where he's like stuck here in this world where it's this sort of purgatory or whatever. So it's really interesting. But also, I don't know if he's a any or outie himself, because he goes out, he's still acting very much the same way.
I don't think he's severed. And I don't think the other black chick is severed.
That's what I was going to ask y'all. Was he Mr. Milchick severed? So you don't think he is?
I don't think so, unless they give him that overtime contingency or something. I don't know, but I don't think he or her are severed, because they both go out in the real world and they just talk like the same shit. They don't seem like a different person.
That is true. All right, so we get to the shits at the end of the episode, man. All hell breaks loose. Mark and Haley decide to plan to get out of there. They lock Mr. Milchick in the bathroom, steal his walkie-talkie.
That's a strong-ass black man, bro.
Hey, boy, he was kicking the shit out of that though, Ken. That nigga was like a slave. But so that happens. Then you have simultaneously the thing happen with his wife, Gemma, excuse me. And then you also have Dylan, who, well, nothing's really happening with Dylan. So what y'all think about, and we'll get to the ending, the reuniting of Gemma and Mark, and then what they decide to do when they get to the door, and then what Mark decides to do as far as he runs off with Haley. Like, we can wrap it up with that. Like, what y'all think about this?
So one, I thought he was stupid to go ahead and fully complete Cole Harbor. But they explained it. It's just me, like, bro, like as a viewer, I'm like, what are you doing? This is stupid. But he didn't know who to trust. So, and he said that Cobell could be lying or the other person could be lying. So he just went with what he felt was best. But it was very intense watching him complete all those numbers, and then them both getting stuck there on that last number before they finally went through with it. I liked all of that, and I was really curious to see how it plays out if he was going to go off with his wife. The reunion was really, really moving, and it was dope to see them get back together when she came out of the room and she saw him for the first time. They saw each other for the first time. Her trusting him, even though she didn't know who he was, but just putting some sort of blind faith in him. But I will say I've never been more concerned for a goat before in my life, bro. Watching the TV show, I was like, bro, I was like, they can't do this. There's no way they can actually do this.
Yeah.
But I just didn't want to put it past the show because it gave off that sort of show vibes. But there definitely probably would have been some backlash, and it was a baby one too, bro. And when it stood up on the basket or whatever it was, and was on, man, I was like, man, y'all can't do this to this goat, bro.
I knew they weren't gonna show it. I was like, I know they can't show that. I know Mike probably didn't care. You look at shit like that in your horror movies.
Nah, I don't like them showing animal stuff. So the second they brought that little baby goat in there, I was like, oh, here we go. I thought they were gonna kill it. I absolutely thought they were gonna kill it.
I knew they couldn't go through with that.
I'm glad they didn't, but that was again leading me to the whole Satan thing, because it was like, okay, you're sacrificing a goat to this Kieran thing. I don't know. The whole shit was just weird. But at the same time, I was like, y'all didn't put Brianna Tarth in this fucking movie for no reason.
Just to do this.
For no reason. Like, she gonna beat somebody's ass.
And she did.
And she did.
His ass, boy.
She did.
Once she hit him with the elbows,
Bruh. I was like, that's Brienne, boy.
man.
Brienne is back.
Beast.
Yeah, and what's his name? He better be happy because Drummond grabbed his ass by the legs and slammed us up against that wall.
That shit had me dying when he was dragging him by one leg and flung him into the wall. I said, Mark, get up and run. Why are you crawling away? Oh, he was pissing me off.
And I love how they show like the physical differences between the two before it even went down.
So you knew what was about to happen.
Yeah. Mark has no fight in him, bro.
Yeah.
None.
That was
because she asked him, she was like, how many more of these like we got to do? Because it seems like they have been doing this and they have really been bothering her. And and Drummond was like, as many as it takes.
Yep.
As many as they asked for.
Yep.
Yeah.
So all of that was good. This whole action scene and the fight and the brutality of it. And just seeing the woman just beat the shit out of him. That was dope. All the way to the accidental death that happened. And then
Mark woke up and shot him in the throat.
I laughed so hard. I was in tears because I did not expect that.
I didn't either.
Fucking all. Because this show hasn't been bloody. That shit had me in tears.
So he severed, right? Like, because they were in the elevator.
He turned.
That's what happened?
He was outie Mark when he went in and he had the bolt pistol to his neck. But I guess he didn't think about the fact that when he gets back in the elevator he's going to go back to Innie. And I guess when he went back to the Innie, it startled him. He
shot it.
I was hollering.
Yeah.
So he was the Innie, but as the Innie, he seen his wife, right?
Yes.
And then because he was the Innie, when he seen Haley, who he has more of a preference for as an Innie, that's why he ran off for her. Is that how y'all took it?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
He agreed to the plan at first. And, wait, no. So he reverted back to the outie at some point because he was the outie when he first went in the room and found her.
To get his wife. Yeah.
Yeah. He was the outie when he first went in there and found Gemma. I think he only becomes the Innie when he goes to the severed floor. But when he goes to any other floor, I think I don't know. It's confusing, but I know he was an outie when he first found Gemma because he was like, he's like, I'm your husband, blah, 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 blah. And then when they embraced and they were kissing. And then if you remember, when they go up in the elevator, they both become their Innies again. She becomes Miss Casey. He becomes Innie Mark. And there's no real connection there.
And that's why he left her.
Yes, that's why he left her, which that's the part that I wasn't super hot on.
Yeah, they kind of turned this into a love story.
That, and they didn't give me... This is too much of a cliffhanger, and it just kind of irritated me, because I was like, okay, yeah, they're both kind of selfish pieces of shit now. Because, outie Mark was being selfish by lying to Innie Mark in order to save his wife, but then Innie Mark was selfish and stupid because it's already been laid out for you. You can't live a life with Helly. And then Helly even tells him, but I'm her. So there cannot be a relationship. So the fact that Innie Mark even did that, I'm like, you're a fucking idiot, man.
Yeah, it did make sense. I think it did. It seemed like they did just to have a plot twist.
Kind of.
Because if you're watching the story, it was like, well, he wouldn't have done that because it was already explained to him this can't work.
Exactly.
Did you see it any differently, Ken?
You guys are spot on. Like when I was watching, I was like, you better not. Like you went through all of that for nothing. And, I know when he pushed her through the door, she she went back from Miss Casey to Gemma,
right,
and was screaming for him, and she probably didn't even really know what was going on because she only knows outing Mark, and but it was just like, I don't know, man. It was just like, yeah, it's just like plot twist, cliffhanger, whatever. I just didn't make fucking sense. Y'all are gonna die. And I didn't. What is the plan? Like, how are you planning on surviving? So we know we got Mr. Millicek has to face off with Dylan and the band now, but all of them were gonna die because that was the thing. Like at 100% completion, that's it. It's a wrap.
Right.
So I don't know what they're planning on, and I think Helly knows that as well. And wasn't he told? I think Mike, you said this. Like he was told that when all of this goes down at 100% completion, she's an Egan.
Yep.
So you have no life with her.
Cobell told him that.
So yeah,
he still ran out. That was crazy.
Yeah. I don't know. I didn't like it.
It made no sense. It like, and one thing on top of it not making any sense, they can't take another. I think it was 4 years. They can't take another 4 years to resume the story.
No.
That's why I was quietly irritated watching it. They took that much time off, but it was because of the strike and everything. So hopefully we get answers sooner rather than later. Any other final thoughts?
I don't think that was Helly at the end. I think I already said that. But when Helly, because I was like, when she said I'll meet you at the equator or whatever, I was like, oh, that's cute and all that. But when she came down to the floor and was yelling for Mark, I was like, why are you doing that? When you just said y'all can't have a life together. You just said that. So why are you now stopping him from leaving? And then when Mark is walking back over to her and Gemma is outside screaming for him, if you watch, because I round it back, she like smiles. Like this kind of like, I got him kind of smile. And then they run off. I was like, oh, that's Helena. She tricked him because it wouldn't make any sense otherwise. If Helena actually did care about Mark, it would make no sense that she would stop him from leaving because she knows they can't be together.
They can be together, yeah.
So I'm glad you said that because what I saw was because I think the final scene ended with the still shot of them.
Yes.
And I was looking at her face and it looked like she was scared or terrified of like, what the fuck did we just do? So yeah, and Mark was just running off. So I was like, that's an odd expression for her to have on her face, given the fact that she just was, like you said, was just smiling. Like what are you doing here? So that is interesting that it might be another version of her or the outing.
I think she was bullshitting. I think that because she only did that after they started running. But before they took off, she looks back at Gemma and she gives like a smirk, a real slight smirk. And then they start running and then she starts being like, and then it freezes.
I thought she was smiling at him.
No, she's smiling at Gemma. If you look, she's making a face at Gemma like, yep.
Got him.
Did it. I got him. So I think that's Helena. I think it was Helena when she was convincing him to finish the sequence. I think this is her trying to prove herself to her father. Or it's either that or it is Helly and Helly has just become evil because the guy, I forget his name, James or whatever, her dad, when he comes down there, he says to her that he doesn't love his daughter.
Yeah, I never loved you.
And he says, yeah. Then he says, but this version, you have the Kier fire in you. So it's one of two things. Either she converted back to Helena and tricked Mark, or she's listening to her dad and is like, okay, I'm going to embrace being a Kier and then go trick him. But this is not just the regular normal Helly that we've been seeing because what she did makes no sense.
So Ben Stiller directed some of these.
This is Ben Stiller that
he created the show.
Yes. Yep.
That's crazy.
Yep. I just knew it was a different Ben Stiller until a couple days ago.
Man, what's that Shaq meme? I don't know. I'm sorry I wasn't familiar with your game.
Right.
Yeah, bro. Insane. The last thing I gotta say is that I think they just, and I think I kind of said this earlier, but I just want to emphasize, like, their storytelling with just music is really great, and they have some amazing shots. Whoever their DP is, like, kudos to them, bro.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's amazing. Visually, this is something to marvel at, and just using music without words to express certain things is really, really good. That's why I love it. But yeah, I mean, by the time it was in, I was like, I fucking love this show. Like, I don't understand. And maybe the sentiment has changed now that it's over, but well, you said you didn't love it as much as season 1, but
yeah, I like season 1 a little better. But as we've talked about it, and some of the things that we've fleshed out that I may have just needed to talk to people about with, I do like it better, and I'm gonna watch it again just to make sure. But I wasn't mad at it. Like, I'm going to watch season 3, so I enjoyed it. I agree with you from the cinematography standpoint. Like, this is amazing shots, amazing frames that they have in here, and the music too. Telling the story, all of that was great. So this has been our review of Severance season 2 at the Frames Per Second podcast. You guys know where to find us. Leave any likes, rates, reviews that you like, and we hope to see you next time. We out. Peace.